Hello, this is Jared from LearnToDraw.com. In today's tutorial, we'll be showing how to use a nested recycler view in an Android app. We'll be creating a Kanban board in our Android project where we'll be able to move tasks between their different states. So for example, we've got the to-do list, a doing list, and a done list, and we can take these tasks and move them from to-do to doing through to done. And you can move them back as well. So I'll show you how to create this, which involves two recycler views, one for the different lists and another for the cards in each individual list. So let's get started. So now we'll create a new project in Android Studio. We'll go File, New Project. We'll select Empty Activity and we'll give the project the name Nested Recycler View. We'll go Finish. Switch into Project View, and we'll open in the main activity layout resource file. Go into the design section and we'll select the download icon next to the RecyclerView component so we can download that dependency. So now we'll make some changes to this activity layout resource file. We'll change it to a linear layout and we'll give it an orientation of vertical. We'll show a text view to give the board name, which will just be chores. And we'll set the layout width to be match parent. And we'll center this using the text alignment of center and the layout gravity of center horizontal. We'll give it a text size of 24 SP to stand out. Under the text view, we'll add a recycler view and we'll give the layout width of match parent and the layout height of wrap content. This recycler view will contain the three lists that we'll be showing in the Kanban board. So we'll give this an ID of activity main card lists. And next we'll create some models that we'll use in our recycler view. The first model we'll create is called card. The card will have a single attribute called title, which will be a string, and we'll add a constructor and we'll also add some getters and setters. Next, we'll create another model for card list. Card list will also have a title and it will also contain a list of card records that belong in that list. Give it a name cards, then we'll import the list and we'll set up a constructor and we'll add getters and setters. Next, we'll create a listener that we'll use for moving the cards between the different lists. So we'll go New Interface. I'll call it On Card List Change Listener. We'll add two methods to this listener. First is the first method is previous list, which will take a card variable and will take a list current list index parameter. We'll copy this and we'll change the next method to be called next list, which will take the same parameters. Next, we'll create the item layout resources that we'll use in our recycler views. So we'll go into the resources section under layouts and we'll go create new layout resource. The first one will be for the card lists. So we'll give it the name item list and I'll copy over a layout resource file I previously created. So this layout resource has a layout width of 135 display pixels, and it's a linear layout with a vertical orientation. The layout contains one text view, which is the descriptor of the list, the title of the list, and that is centered horizontally. And underneath that we have another recycler view, which will contain the list of the cards that we'll be displaying under that list. So next we need to create a activity layout resource file for the cards that will be shown in this nested recycler view. So we'll go new layout resource file and give it the name item card, and we'll set the root element to use a linear layout. Now before we create this layout resource, I need to import two drawables. So go into the right click on the resource directory, go new vector asset. We'll set the color to be white, and we'll look up two different vector assets. One is for the arrow back, and we'll do the same thing for the arrow forward. Both will need to be white. Okay, so now that they've been added, what I'll do next is copy over the card layout resource. So this is dependent on the card view dependency. So you need to make sure you add that dependency. So for each card, it'll be displayed inside a card view. These cards will have an elevation and quarter radius and layout margin of 6 display pixels. Inside each card will have a linear layout that is laid out horizontally, and it's got a padding of 6 display pixels. It's also got a blue background. First we show the image view, which is for the arrow that's pointing backwards. Then we show a text view, which is the title of the card. After that, we'll show a arrow inside an image view, which points forwards. These arrows will get hidden if, depending on which list the card is in. So if you're in the first list, then you won't show a back arrow. If you're in the last list, you won't show a forward arrow. But if you're in the middle list, you'll show both. That logic will go inside the RecyclerView adapter class. Okay, so what we'll do next is we'll implement the two RecyclerView adapters. So we'll start with the card list RecyclerView adapter. So we'll create a new Java class and we'll call it card list recycler adapter. Okay, and we will include inside this class another class called CardListViewHolder, which extends RecyclerView.viewHolder, and we will implement that constructor. And back in the definition of the class, we will need to extend RecyclerView adapter, and then we'll put the view holder here as well. Now we'll implement those methods. So at the top of the recycler adapter class, we'll need to add a variable for the list of card lists. Next, we'll implement the constructor, which will take the card lists as a parameter, and we'll also have a variable for the on card list change listener. And we'll add this as a class variable. In the getItemCount method, we will return the card list size. Now we'll implement the Oncreateviewholder method. So I'm just copying this code over. So what we'll do is we'll get the item view by using the layout inflator, and we'll inflate the layout we created for the item list, and then we'll return that as a new card list view holder. In the card list view holder, we'll implement a method called bind, passing a card list as a parameter. So at the top of the card list, we will have a text view, which is the title of the card list. And we'll set up that text view in the constructor using the findViewByID method. In the bind method, we will set the text for the text view, calling title.setText, and then we'll use the card list to get the title. Next, inside the onBindViewHolder method, we will need to use the holder to invoke the bind method, and then we'll get the relevant card list by going cardlists.get, and then we'll pass the position. So now that we've done the text view, we also need to set up the second recycler adapter and RecyclerView. So we need to create this recycler adapter first. So we'll go new class, and we'll give the class the name card recycler adapter. And we'll do the same thing we did before. We'll implement that class inside the card recycler adapter called CardViewHolder, which extends RecyclerView.viewholder. And we'll give this CardViewHolder a bind method, which we will pass a card record as a parameter. So the cards inside the CardViewHolder have a text view for the title of the card. So we'll set up that title in the constructor. We're looking for item card title, and then in the bind method we will set that title using the setText method and getting the card record and using the getTitle method. This card view holder will also have two image views, one for the previous and one for the next. And we'll need to also set these up in the constructor. So in the bind method, we'll need to know which list the card is in. So we'll need to implement the recycler adapter and then retrieve that list index inside the bind method. So we'll extend RecyclerView.adapter, then we'll add the card view holder, then we'll implement these methods. Okay, and we'll have a list of cards. We'll need to get some values from the card list recycler adapter into this class. So what we want to know is what is the list index of the selected list, and what is the list size, so we know how many lists there are. So we also need to get access to the listener, the on-card list change listener, so we can invoke the methods of that in this class. So we'll create the constructor. We'll make sure all these values come through the constructor. In the getItemCount method, we will change the 0 to cards.size. Okay, we'll update the Oncreateviewholder method to use the layout inflator to inflate the item card layout, and then create a new card view holder object using that view. In the Untitled method, we will use the holder to invoke the bind method, and we'll pass the card, which can be obtained using the cards.get position. Now we will complete the bind method so we can access the list index and list size from the card recycler adapter. So what we'll check is the current list. We'll check if it's the first list, and if that's the case, we want to hide the previous button. So we'll set the visibility to false. We'll set it to invisible. And if it's not the first item in the list, we'll set the previous button to be visible instead. Now we'll take care of the next button. So if the current list is the last list in the list, then we want to disable, or we want to hide the next button by setting the visibility to invisible. Otherwise, we will show this list. We'll show this button. So if the previous button is visible, then we'll need to add an on-click listener to the button. We'll do this by calling set on-click listener, and we'll add a new on-click listener. And what we'll do is we will invoke the we'll use the on-card change listener to invoke the previous list method, where we pass the card, and we also pass the list index. Okay, and we do something similar in the section for the next button. So we go next.set onClick listener, new onClick listener. In the onClick method, we will call onCard list change listener dot next list, and we'll pass the card and we'll pass the listener list index. So now we're back in the card list recycler adapter. We will be able to set up the recycler view in this card list view holder now. So we'll need to get access to the recycler view, and we'll also need to create a card recycler adapter. So in the constructor, we will get access to the recycler view. For that recycler view, we will set a layout manager to be a linear layout manager, passing the context as itemview.getContext. So now we need to set up the recycler adapter for the card. So we'll go card recycler adapter equals new card recycler adapter. We'll pass the cards list dot get cards. Then we'll add the list index, which we'll need to get from a parameter. We'll add the list size, which we'll get from the cards lists dot size. Then we'll pass the on card list change listener. Then we'll use the recycler view and we'll set the adapter to the card recycler adapter. We need to update the on bind view holder to include the list index, which will simply be the position. What we need to do now is update the main activity to make use of these recycler adapters. What we'll have in the main activity is a recycler view, and we'll have a recycler card list recycler adapter. We'll initialize the recycler view using the find view by ID method. Next, we'll create the layout manager for the recycler view. This needs to be a horizontal linear layout. So we'll set that up now. Linear Layout Manager. Linear Layout Manager equals new Linear Layout Manager, passing in the context of this. For the Linear Layout Manager, we'll call the set orientation method, and we'll set the parameter to horizontal. Then for the Recycler view, we will set the Layout Manager to this Linear Layout Manager. So now I'm going to copy some data over. So these will be our card lists. We'll have a to-do list with 3 cards in there. We'll have a doing list with 2 cards, and we'll have a done list with 3 cards. We'll need to implement the onCard list change listener in this class and override those 2 methods. This card list variable will need to be defined at the class level. So in the previous list method, what we'll need to do is we'll need to first remove the card from its current list and add it to its new list. What we'll need to do first is we'll need to go into card lists dot get the list that's the current list. Then we'll need to remove. Then we'll need to call the get cards. Then we'll need to remove the card. Then what we'll need to do is we'll need to get the index before the current index, and we'll need to add this card. And we'll implement the same thing for the next list, but instead of taking away one, we will add one to the index. Okay, so now we'll create the recycler adapter. Card recycler adapter equals new card list recycler adapter, and we need to pass in card lists, and we'll pass in the on card list change listener, and we'll make one change to the card list recycler adapter. We'll create a new method called set card lists, and we'll pass in a list of card lists, and we will overwrite the card lists. Then I'll call the notify dataset change method. In the previous list, at the end of that, after those 2 methods are called, we'll need to invoke a method on the card list recycler adapter to call set card lists and pass in the new card lists. And we'll do the same in the next card list method. Now that we've created this recycler adapter, we will need to use the RecyclerView and call set adapter and pass the card list recycler adapter. Okay, so now we can test this out. Okay, so if we can take it to the next. So we can move the cards forward, we can move the cards backwards. We can move them all into one list if we want to. So thanks everyone for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share and subscribe. Thanks very much.